Today I'm going to show you how to put together this Blissful bunny box, which is a 3D SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. So here are all the pieces to make this little bunny. So I thought it would be fun. It actually came pretty quick to me for whatever reason, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I have bunnies and stuff, but this one's a little bit different. So this is a little vinyl piece that's going to be the Happy Easter. So here's a different box I did. It's similar to that. So let me get that in. No, it's not quite. But you can see how big it is. And you can make it without this if you don't want the little sign on the bottom, and just make a basket. Not basket, a box. And then it just comes off like that, so it sits inside. And it's a cute little project. You can even make the box by itself, I mean the hat. So let me get my tongue tied out of the way right now. If you got just the hat alone, that would be cute too. I mean, if you could just put a flat piece on the bottom, if you just wanted to make a decoration. So that's cute. So you get a couple projects out of this. So that's it. That's what we're going to make today. So we have all the pieces. So I have all my little pieces in my embellishment bowl here. Mostly I'm using American Crafts textured cardstock, and I'm using vinyl for today for the Happy Easter. One thing I want to say about the Happy Easter is you can try to cut it out with paper and it will cut out, but it's going to be kind of fiddly. So this point I feel like it was best served to be a vinyl piece, or you can do a print and cut too, so if you want to use that. So that's that, and then we have all the white pieces, which are the bottom box and the bottom piece that says Happy Easter, and then the actual box, the head. Then we have all these panels, and then the lid for the hat. So we'll start with the lid. So let's go ahead and put these panels on. So let me get the right pieces together first. So we have all these, and this was just a digital paper I printed out. Look cheerful. And I'm also going to put some ribbon around the hat as well. So we're going to go ahead. So there's several pieces here. I'll explain them as I go. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold them as I go here. So let me get these folded. I like to pre-fold them before I put the panels on. And you can tell that these aren't in for the side of the hat. So those are the insert, these two little pieces right here. It's the insert, which is this. I like when I have one done so I can show you this part. Then we'll have two pieces with openings. So one is larger than the other. The large one is for this part right here, and the smaller one is for the part that goes into the actual box. Actually, there's three pieces. I'll explain them all. And this is the edge of the... So let me get those pieces. So I don't want to confuse you. So these two are the sides and the top of the hat. So the top part. So I'm going to put those aside. I'll explain everything one by one, because I can see how it can get confusing. That's just a panel for the Happy Easter, so I'm going to put that aside. These two that are like this are the edges of the hat. So we're going to go ahead and put these panels, these little skinny ones, on the edge. So what you might want to do too, I did just little edges like that, little panels that center, and then but some people might not want that. So what would look cute too are like lines of those gems. Those would look good, but I wouldn't. If you were going to do something like that, I would put it together first and put it on afterwards. So if it's paper, it's just easier to put it on flat. But if it's something like bumpy or three-dimensional, afterwards would be better. So So we're going to find the piece that this goes to. Okay, I wasn't explaining these 3 pieces well. So there's one where the panel will fit perfectly on. That will be the top of the hat right here. Okay? So we'll put that right there, aligned. These last 2, this one will go in the top as well, the top part, and I'll show you. And this is the bottom piece right there, which this will be attached to. So I'll put those with those 2 pieces. So the one that's longer, so the biggest thing is, if you have the panels, get the panel and match it up, and you'll see that that's the top of this portion of the hat right here. Okay? Then this is longer. That's for this bottom portion, okay? So I want to make sure you know which one to deal with. So I'm going to put this aside with these 2 pieces because those are the bottom of the hat. So I'm going to put that over there. So we want to do this. So I'm going to put all the panels on, but I'm showing you where they go. I'm just going to center them. Otherwise, this one goes like this. So I don't want to, you don't have to watch all me putting the panels on, but this one does, just pushing my butt. I just filled up my art glitter glue bottle here and I'm getting a little heavy with my glue. So this, the inside cutout, will line up exactly with the inside cutout of this piece. So you want to get it lined up well. You don't want any overlapping in here, so do the best you can. And you see it's centered, so it's ready. So I'll center these pieces, these 4 little pieces, on this. And then the other thing I will put on is once we fold these, and I'll just fold one of them. We have these 4 pieces. And, well, actually 5. This is for the top. Then the big piece, a small piece. So it'll go on these. So I'm going to center those so they'll just center like that. Just easier to do it before it's put together. And then we'll go on to the next step. So now that we have the panels on, so we have the panels on these, let's go ahead and take these 2 big hat pieces and we're going to start assembly on it. So we're going to go ahead and add glue to one of these side tabs. So I think I mentioned I'm using American Craft textured cardstock. There's our other cardstock out there that'll work too. I just happen to like the texture and how I can work with it really easily. And art glitter glue. I like to use it in the fine tip applicators. So I'm going to line this up to the fold line or the score. So just line it up carefully. Center it up and down as best you can. So just lining those scores up. So the other side, you can go flat, but it's not going to match up because of the slight angle. So we'll go ahead and add glue to this tab. And you can kind of get it against the table to give it a little pressure. But once you lined it up, so just be careful to line it up. This is why I like to pre-fold the tabs a little bit. I forgot to fold them back a little bit. So that, I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm just lining it up. And then once we get it set in place, we can apply pressure against that tab. It's okay if these overlap. because they're going to go a different way. So make sure this is good and glued. So I didn't fold them back first because we want to fold them back. So when you fold them back near a seam like that and it's already glued, it might pull it away a little bit. So if you want to do this prior, I apologize, I didn't show you that before. But we want a valley fold. Mountain fold's the natural fold, valley fold's this way. I'm just doing it gently so I don't pull it away from the seam. So you could prep that before you put it together. For those that are watching this before they put it together. So we have that. Then we'll go ahead and fold these in. Now glue to these 3 tabs. Then we're just going to fold that top over. That little glue on my fingertips, let me get that off so I don't get it on my paper. So and just get it, I like to get it lined up on each side. Then kind of rub the edges. Then I can flip it over and apply pressure inside. And I have this plastic chopstick I'm going to use. You can just use a wooden one. I just didn't have my wooden one handy. I usually show my wooden one. You can get those when you take out Chinese, or the closest I can get to Chinese where I'm at, that's decent, is Panda, so go figure. If you're familiar with Panda in the United States. So we just want to make sure that's good and glued together. So there's the top of the hat. So next thing you want to do is take this piece I'm going to fold those. Let's see how we folded it back. You see, the reason we folded it back was so we could glue it like this on the inside. So now we can just go ahead and add glue. You could do it on the, I like to do across from each other first. And then the smaller tabs. So now we have all these 4 tabs glued to the bottom here, and you can see taking the shape of the top of the hat. So we go ahead and take these skinny pieces. We're going to make the edge of the hat. So just go ahead and glue one of these side tabs. Line this up. I'm just going to fold it a little bit so I can see the tab a little bit better. Sometimes with different colors you can't really see if it's lined up okay. So I could just fold out over this other tab. And this one will just fold over, the other side will just fold over and should line up fairly well as long as you got the first one lined up. You can always make minor adjustments. And we'll go ahead and see how those are all folded in. On one side, whichever side you want it to be the top, we're going to slide this in there. And the reason we're doing this is just going to make it easier for us to glue this piece on. So it's just a helper piece really to glue that top piece. So we're going to go ahead, because I'm using textured cardstock, I'm going to glue the non-textured side. Got a little bit of glue. Gonna line that in here. I mean, you could have put the glue on the tabs too, but normally I do that. So I'll have probably a little glue on my table. Actually, I don't even know why I did it that way, because normally I do the opposite. I put glue on the tabs and put the piece down, just because I have a tendency to drop things. Just going to wipe that off. Make sure I don't have any. So this is just a damp paper towel that I have over here to get my fingertips and wipe excess glue. So if you hear noise, we're having some significant wind gusts today here in Texas. So what I'm going to do is just glue this on, not that part, on this side. This part will put the bottom piece that goes into the box. So we're just going to go ahead and line that up. So add glue to these tabs. So when you do this piece, you want to get as close to the edge as possible. So whether you use a tool, some people use, I don't use a paintbrush because then I have to clean it. So I tend to move my glue around, get it to the edge here. I'm just going to line it up. And before you put any pressure down to get it set, get it lined up on all four sides. You may have a little glue leakage. Just wipe it away and kind of push it in. So this is why I kind of like art glitter glue, because it gives me time to move things around, but just enough time for me, once you get used to it, to be able to get it in place before it dries. I mean, I'm not always perfect. I do, you know, obviously, sometimes it doesn't go quite well. Make sure. So, I mean, you do see a little bit of the tab inside, but I don't think a lot of people are going to be looking inside for the most part. So you could always cut a piece if you wanted to cover that, if that's what you didn't want to see the opening. Or you could have an upside down box. That'd be fun. It could be a box. If you didn't put this part on, that could actually be a box too. So think about all the different ways you can use one file. It's kind of fun. So the next thing we need to do is put this bottom piece on, but we need to put this together first. So we want to fold it. This is a mountain fold. When it folds up like this, we want to do a valley fold, because this is going to glue on the opposite side of this. So we're going to go ahead and just gently fold it. I'm just kind of gently folding it back. When you haven't seen me use a bone folder, because honestly I've never even owned a bone folder before, a real bone folder. I had a plastic one, but it does actually fold well. I mean, I know it's been something that people have been, paper crafters suggest having, but I didn't realize what the consistency difference between bone. But see, it kind of folded a little harsh for me, but that's okay because it's going to be on the edge, on the bottom, so you're not even going to notice it. So the other thing I sometimes use, I use really any round tools for what I'm using as a bone folder, because I don't think you need to go buy a bunch of tools when you're paper crafting. There's so many things that you can use. A pen. I have a stylus that I use for almost everything, like that. So for curling, I use it as like a folding tool. So, but I'm trying to get used to this because it does have some benefits. Well, at least I think it is. So just trying to give it a try and see if I like it. So I'm just going to line this edge up to that tab. And then I can fold it over just like I did the other thing earlier, the side of the lid. And we're just going to line this up. Having some good gust outside today. I'm right next to a window, so some of the noise was coming in. So the easiest I thought to do this is because you folded it back already. So just make sure these are good and glued on. I did a little wide on that. I don't recommend doing that often, but I'm going to just go ahead and fix that. Didn't get close enough on that one. Sometimes I have to recut this piece if I do something like that. But because I know what it's for, because I know it's just this piece right here, as long as I can get it secure on that edge, then it'll be okay. Sometimes you can make a mistake and be okay. So to me, the easiest way to get this on is we want the non-textured side down, because this will be the bottom of it. So we're going to go ahead and gently guide this around the edge. And it does fit. It's a little bit bigger than so I didn't get it close enough. So that's, if you don't get it close enough, you're going to have some trouble. Then we'll go ahead and add glue to these tabs. Make sure you can see that. So you can see all the way around. You can do them all at once. Depends on your glue, how quickly it dries. I know a lot of people use Scotch Quick Dry. I am not fast enough for Scotch Quick Dry. I found that out. It would get quite frustrating because I would glue around the whole edge, and then by the time I got back to the beginning, it would be too dry. So it's one of the reasons why I stopped using it. But I like it. It's just I'm not fast enough to do it. I'm a slower crafter. So we're just going to go ahead and add pressure here. Get those tabs good and glued. And then we'll go ahead and just glue this on here. So what we can do is put it upside down. And we don't have that little helper piece like we did the other side. So this is another thing that can happen. I'm just going to let you know, because if this gets pulled away, because it's so narrow, it might come apart a little bit. So I just added a little bit of glue in there, and then just holding it, and then we can resume. Let me check the other side. Just a little bit, but not much. So same thing, we're just going to go ahead and add glue. I'm just careful when I get to the edges here. And don't do that. That's a product going too fast. So we'll go ahead and just line this up carefully. Just going to go around the edge here. And you can push it, you might have to push it in just a little bit to get it to line up. So you can see that I'm going around the edges here. So once we have it in place, I'll just rub it lightly, and then you can reach in and apply pressure inside through the opening. One of the reasons I kept this opening is so you could do that, so you don't go through the whole project and go, oh, I just ruined that. No, nothing's ruined. You just, the more places you can put your fingers to help secure the project. And you can see that was coming up a little bit, but as I apply more pressure, you just have to be careful around this edge. So now that we have this part done, we can go ahead and add the ears. So I'm going to choose, let's get the which side will be the front, and I can do that in a minute. I'm going to put that to a side. And we have these. These are the ears. So they go like that. So they'll be like that. We want to curl them a little bit, so I found this is hard for me, so I'm going to use this tool. And you can do it against the side of the table too. Just I'm going to curl them a little bit if you want to curl them like this, but we're not going to do the full thing yet until we get the pink on. So that's another way to do it. But we have the flower too. It's missing a piece here. So let's put the pink part on. So if you want to, you can curl it. So I did ink it a little bit with the darker pink, just a slight effect. I tend to use my fingers a lot for curling, so make sure I have the right and left appropriate, because you can see it's flat on the bottom, so that's how you'll know. So we're going to go ahead and line this up flat on the bottom like that, so there's a little curve on the inside. So they're both the same. They're just opposites of each other. I'm going to put really light glue to attach this. And the reason why is to make sure that I can curl it a little bit once it gets attached. So I lined it up down here. You could go to left or right, whatever you feel. I mean, if you don't want it centered, look at more organic. But even look cute with a little embossed ear. I just chose not to do that. So you can go ahead and curl it to get a curve. So you're going to want to take the time to get it the way you want. In whatever tool, you could use a little round dowel or a skewer. So I like to like I said, pre-curl them. So let's get the right ear. Doesn't matter if they match left and right, because I mean, ears are supposed to be organic, right? Organic looking. And they could even be curled a little bit differently. I got something on there. If you're going to use a tool, make sure your tool's clean, because I probably had something on my tool on this stylus. So whatever works for you, and you can kind of take this and see how you like it. So you can see that like that. So you can put them however you want, but you want them to be flat here. So from the side, we're just going to go ahead and glue them. I decided not to put a little slot there. Normally I would put a slot. I'm just going to kind of put glue up a little bit, and I can even put it just where it's going to touch. I probably went just a little bit too wide with it. I'm just going to go in a little bit and see where I'm at. So just place them first, dry fit it to where you think you like what it looks like. So I'm just going in a little bit from each side. Then I can apply pressure on the inside too. A little bit too wide with that glue there, but that's okay. So it's flat against right here. Just pushing down, make sure the flat piece is towards the bottom. And see, I'm not gluing all the way to the sides. I still can have a rounded piece. If I wanted, I could still do a little bit of rounding because I didn't glue it all the way on the back. So I still have the flexibility to maybe curl around that ear or that kind of thing. So I have this, I think they call this is like a sheer ribbon. I'm going to place it around and tie it in the front with the tie, and then I'm going to do it similar to this one. I just figured I'm not going to deviate. I kind of like the look of this, so I'm going to go with that. But you could use a solid ribbon or no ribbon at all, really. I mean, you could add different accents for different things that you own. I just didn't like the look of paper, so I can even wrap it around twice if I wanted to. So getting a different look. So I'll do that shortly. I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm not very elegant, right, doing bows, so I'm not the bow person. So now we've got this little flower. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take, this is what I like this tool for. Make sure my glue is covered here. I'm just going to lightly curl these, just kind of rolling it and curling the petals. And you could go backwards if you wanted to. If you want to do that, you could do backwards on one, because what it's going to do is opposite, but I think just a little, I'm going to add just a little curl on the top piece, not as much. If you wanted, you could resize this down the top level. Anyways, there's lots of ways you can make just a basic daisy look different. So I'm just lightly rolling it through my fingertips around the stylus. Let's see what it looks like. And so I'm going opposite, so I want to rotate this one to in between the other leaves here. So I'm going to pull these up just a smidgen. So I can rotate it. Just going to add a dot of glue in the middle so I can place this. You can see I'm putting the petals in between the other petals, placing it so the top petals are opposite where the other ones are. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then earlier what I did is I put a little bit of glitter glue. I used Stickles, but clear glitter glue, and put little dots with Nuvo dots for my little flower. I'm just going to add that middle piece. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to put the ribbon on, and then we'll attach this. So I went with a different ribbon because I didn't exactly like that color. Didn't match up well enough for me. So I found this little, this was easier to tie too. Put a little bow, which I wouldn't show you the process of me doing it because it's painful to watch me. And then, so we'll put that aside, and I had this wrapped around something too, so that was a little challenging, which is fine. It ties fine. Usually it just doesn't show. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the middle. You could always put it to the side too, whatever, or on the top of the front of the hat, just like that. You could do that. It's up to you. I kind of like that, but you could make it smaller or just use a different flower. I mean, so I'm going to put a little glue dot on the back of this. I'm going to make a decision where I want to put this. I just wanted a flower. I didn't really care between the ears, but I didn't care where it was going to reside. So I'm just going to put it right there. Make sure the bow's in front of it. The glue dot's getting stuck to this, so let me go ahead, since that's not glued down. And just put a little higher so it doesn't interfere with the bow. So there it is. So I wanted to get a blue version and a pink version because I thought it was fun, and you don't need to use, obviously, if you're going to do this. This doesn't look like a boy type thing. I was thinking this is more just an Easter decoration and doubles as a box. So let's go ahead and do the face, the box portion. So we have these two things. Actually, there's 4 of them. So we just need 2 of them to assemble. So I'm just going to make sure they're sticking together, so I got to find the 2. There we go. So for these, we're just going to go ahead, we want to curl it. So this part right here with the straight tab is the bottom. So I'm folding them. Don't fold these tabs yet. You can curl it with your finger on the edge of a not so sharp table. Like, I'm not showing it, but I'm just curling it on my table. Or you could try something like this. I'm used to using this, so I'm going to try my bone folder. That's second. But we're just pre-curling it to get the shape, okay? It's not critical, it just helps you put it together. So then you can go ahead and fold these in. I'm only going to fold one side in for now. So look at the other side. So this is going to glue on this to make the other side. So that's the bottom part. So I'm going to curl that. Like I said, it's just this could get stuck with the... You just want a basic curl. It doesn't have to be like a lot. And I'm going to fold the tabs in that are folded. So it's going to go like that. I'm going to fold these in. And I'll show you why I'm not folding the other part yet. You can if you want, but you'll have to fold them out again. They'll get in your way. So those are those 2 pieces. So I'm going to flip it over real quick. This is the texture side on the outside. we're going to go ahead and add glue to this tab. I'm going to line this up. So I'm lining this edge up to the fold and making sure it lines up on the sides as well. You can flip inside, that's what it looks like on the inside. So now we're going to take one of these pieces. This is the top of the box. This is the bottom. So what we want to do, there's two ways to go about this. We're going to do both sides the same way. We can glue this. So we probably want to put the texture side on the inside if you're using textured paper. So the non-textured is what we're gluing. So let's give it glue onto the inside, and then there's going to be a panel that goes on the outside for the face and the back. So we're going to go ahead. It just makes it easier to put these things together, in my opinion, rather than just put them on top. So you can line this up and glue this long tab first and then glue these side tabs. So we'll do it that way. So there's two ways to do this. I'm going to show you two ways. And actually this is the way I would recommend, because when it gets to the top, you could start here. So you could start here, attach it with the first tab to the edge. I have them out of there. Sorry about that. Right here, and then glue it all the way around. But sometimes I find that if you're off a little bit, by the time you get to this side, it'll be off. So if I start in the middle, it might be off on one side, because you have to be precise. So you have to line this edge up. I'm kind of looking to that tab fold. You see that I have it lined up to that tab on that side. So we're anchoring it there. And then we're just going to fold these around and glue it like that, and the other side as well. So once we have it anchored, so the key is, looking from the other side, is to get it lined up. So you could fold it, make sure, oops, have it the correct way, it's lined up and glued in place. So now go ahead and get that out of our way. I'm going to add glue to all these tabs, the ones we folded. This just makes it easier to do around rather than just glued on top. I'm going to start from where I started gluing, where this tab is. Then I'm going to just push in, and I'm lining up this inside edge of all these tabs as I go around, and I'm applying pressure until I get to the top. So we're just trying to get it lined up as best we can. I'll show you what it looks like. So see that edge is lined up. So that's what it looks like on the other side. It's off a little bit on that one, but. And we'll do the same on the other side. And again, I'm just starting from the middle, the larger tab, and then moving up, pushing in so this edge of this panel inside lines up best you can. I mean, it's a circular piece, so it's going to do the best it can. And then you're making sure that you're pushing it in from the side as you go around. And what you could see is something I'm going to show you on the back, which you see on the edge, you see the jagged edges right there. You know, that's not like a huge deal. You could trim them after it's glued. So if you don't like them sticking out, and that normally doesn't happen with all paper, just so you know. But if I trim it, it's not gonna, I'm just gonna trim it off a little bit. Or you could use something like sandpaper. But it's not that big of a deal. It's not even bad on this side though, really. So for this, I'm going to now fold them. They really weren't in our way, but sometimes they do. It's because we don't, this part's open. So we're going to do the same, but you can't see it as well. But since you've gone through the process on the first one, I'm going to add glue to this tab. You know, when I show assembly of items, it's not necessarily the best way. It's the way that I found that I think that will work for most people. So if you find there's a better way for you, then you do it. I have little shadows going on here, but make sure you have the correct way. I'm going to go ahead and line this up. I'm going to pull it out a little bit so I can see it. So once we get it in place, and you could start, like I said, the old method is to start from the edge if it's easier. The only difference is when we do this part, we're going to put glue and flip them down. Then we're just going to reach in. So you're not going to be able to see this part, but I'm doing essentially the same thing, starting from the bottom and just pushing in from the side as I get them glued up to the edge. And if yours is a little bit off, don't worry about it. For this side, like I said, it might be just easier to start at one of the tabs at the top and then wrap it around. But essentially it's the same thing. Again, I'm just pushing it in, starting from the bottom, if you glue the bottom first, and then wrapping it around. And I'm just double checking inside that it lines up. And you can see it's off just a little bit on this one, which is not a huge deal, because what we're going to do is cover it. So that can be the back of it or the front of it. It's up to you. But when you have the lid on, you're not going to be able to see it that much. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So now let's go ahead and add this. Sometimes I have videos like this, parts of my videos where something just doesn't go quite right. This is just one of them. Just this side so far. There's always going to be something in my video that doesn't go right. We go ahead and line that up. So whichever what you think is the best side, so put it on this outside panel, you're going to make the front. So it's going to turn out, so you can see I just put that on, we're just going to apply pressure inside. So I'll probably end up doing the first side as my front, as my face. That could be fur on the outside. So I'll tell you what I use these for, nail files. So we have some nail files here. Sometimes I shave edges like that. Just lightly. I haven't put it on yet. Instead of cutting it, you can only do it with certain kinds of paper, so you gotta play around with it and then it'll clean up that edge. You see how it does that? So they're nice. So those little nail files are nice to have on hand. So I'm going to add glue to the tab to the panel this time. And then center it. Get it aligned around the edges. And then flip it over and apply pressure. You want to keep your fingers clear of glue if possible, because we don't have any panels on the sides and the fronts other than those. So at this point we have the head. And I have it sideways so it's going to fall off. So it's pretty loose on the top, so it can sit like this. So if you just wanted to make this box without the Happy Easter, you could just do this. So let's add the face. Now I was going to put lines on these panels to tell you where to put the actual face, but the parts of the face, but I think it's just easier to put it down the way you want. So I go about over this, which I think that's like an inch. I can't. Let's see if I can find my ruler. About from that little tip in there, about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So we're just going to do that. So we're just dry fitting it. And I did a little inking with a little pink on these too. These are the same size on both sides. And then we have the nose that will glue there. And then the eyes. The reason you don't want to go too high, because you don't want the edge of the lid to hinder you. So let's start with the cheeks, so we kind of know where the cheeks are going to be. That'll help us with the rest of it. If you wanted to omit the cheeks, of course, you could. You could just ink the actual white panel if you're into the inking thing. So just kind of eyeball it, make sure that they're about the same distance apart. Let's go ahead and add this nose to this gray piece. My fingers are dry from all this dry weather and the glue. I actually did my fingernails this morning and you can't tell. Boy, trials and tribulations of anything. So this is not like symmetrical at all. So you can see I kind of should probably put them a little bit further away, but I kind of like it overlapping like that. So however you want it to look. Or you could do it like this, where I have them further apart. Let me show you the other one. That. So you can see a guide. So you could go inwards like that. So just place them where you like them. So if you do like this project and our other projects, always ask if you could give me a little thumbs up or like on this video. and or subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. And if you hit that little bell to the right to subscribe, you'll be notified when there's new videos, new projects, tutorials, if I do some, when I do my tutorials. So it's pretty simple. So all we're going to do is the sign. So here we go so far. So it's just cute by itself. I just thought if you wanted to make it a decoration. So you could put the eyes up higher, just up to you whether you want to do that. So let's go ahead and do the Happy Easter. So I already pre-cut this vinyl, this white vinyl, and we're going to put Happy Easter on here. So if you're not really a vinyl user, which I'm not, you have to figure out how you're, I mean I do, I've done vinyl projects, but I do mostly paper. But just understanding how to cut your vinyl on your machine. And then I have transfer tape, and I'm just going to, I don't have the best transfer tape, but it works for me. Just going to rub it to get it to come up. I bought a roll that has a bajillion yards on it, probably about, I don't know, could be 8 or more years ago. So it'll never go away. So it doesn't stick the best, but it's good. So I want to center it. So if you wanted to, you could do like a print and cut or something like that. I'm not a fan of weeding, so if people do that, I don't. But I have done a couple different vinyl projects. Not through my store, just personally. But I'm trying to add a little bit more because I know people use that. So we will end up putting it on the front of one of these, but let's see which side's the best. So we want to go ahead and curl this a little bit. So if I'm folding these, and before I fold these little tabs, I'm just going to curl it a little bit. And we'll go ahead and add glue to the side tab. So this one, the method that I showed you to put the panels on the inside, we're not going to do that for this. So it's not that hard. So we're just lining that edge up to the fold. And we'll do the same on the other side. So we're just going to line that up. And you can flip that over once you get it lined up and add pressure inside. So normally I would add this before I put it on, but we're going to find out which sides we want it to be the front and then put it on afterwards. We're going to fold these in on both sides, the tabs. Then we have these two pieces that are white pieces that are identical. We're going to add glue to all these tabs. Basically, we're going to fit it. So make sure you get good coverage, not too much glue, but on these little tabs. But we're going to fit it in place over all these tabs, and we'll do that on both sides. So I'm just going to show you one and then I'll put the other one on. And then the add the Happy Easter to the side that looks the best. So I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to line this up to the long piece first, so I know I'm getting it in place. And you could glue that just to that piece first if you want to. Because of the size of it, to do it all at once, it's not horrible. You don't want to press it down yet, so I'm just kind of squishing it in. You can tell I'm kind of squishing this side out a little bit and in to line it up. And I'm sure those who've done lots of projects in the past, a lot of designers do this method for some of their pieces, like letters. So I'm just going to go ahead and press down. So on the other side we won't be able to press down inside, but on one side we can. And then I'll put the other side on the same way. The difference is you kind of want these raised a little bit, so when you glue it down. So I'll show you anyways. It's only going to take another like minute or so just to show you the second side. So here's a different way of doing it, especially when you can't get on the inside. You could anchor it, and I'm making sure the texture side's out. Lining it up. I'm just using my thumb to make sure I don't go over too much. So it's anchored on this piece. So we're just going to fold it over per se. So we didn't have to add glue to everything at once. So now we're going to add glue to the 3 tabs, or not 3 tabs, the 3 sides on all these little tabs. So some people might prefer this because now you're just kind of folding it over. So I'm going to fold it over. And what I'm going to try to do is make sure this lines up with this. So I'm looking at it. First I'm just getting that in place. And then I'm just going to kind of make sure that these line up. Kind of squish it a little bit. And then push in and nudge it in to get it the right shape around the sides there. And when you can't reach in, that's why you're having those tabs up just a little bit. You can just apply pressure that way and or do this. So the very last part is to put the Happy Easter, so I'm going to choose which side's the best. Well, they're both similar, but that has a little thing that you can see. You can flip them upside down too. I'm actually going to choose this side, even though I can see a little bit of this edge right here. You could put anything you wanted because I used Happy Easter. That's just a generic thing. And on my the other one I showed you, I found another. I had 3 eggs that I just designed, which there's eggs everywhere, so you could just add if you wanted to add something like that. But there are no eggs in this file. So now we're just going to glue it to this. So you can see this is how it's going to. You just center it like that. So just add glue to this bottom panel. So I'm just going to make sure that it's centered. So I'm doing it sideways so I can see it a little bit better. And it's the same thickness. So on the back, lines up. Looks like I have a little bit to the. It's okay if it's close to center. Nothing has to be perfect. And then I can just do that to hold it in place. And then it's finished. I thought it was just a cute little thing I hope people like. So there it is, finished. Everything together. So it just makes a good Easter decoration and or gift. And I do hope you enjoyed this project. And I thank you so much for watching.